check, check. 1, 2. Got that. Play a quick video while we wait. Hey, Brandi, how are you? Check 1, 2. Check, check. Looks like I got Mike. Brandi, can you hear me? Oh, you're still connecting. All right. Thanks, Greg. I'll play a video just to keep things going so you're not just staring at us.
I'm turning off my camera, Chris.
Okay. In life, we're always striving to get to a destination. Success, whatever that means to you. And we do things that we think are the path to get there. You're going to find out that you're going to fail. Because sometimes in life, the things we thought we knew turn out to be all wrong. My name's Chris Naugle, and in the past, I've done a lot of things. I've been self-employed at a young age. I've had t-shirt lines, a professional snowboarding career, skateboard and snowboard shops. I even spent 16 years on Wall Street. But let me show you the steps that I took to unwind what I thought I knew that just wasn't right. I'm going to start with number 1. Now, many of you can relate. When I was younger, my grandmother would always give me advice. And I'll never forget, as I got to the age where I was about ready to enter the workforce, my grandma said to me, Chris, make sure you find an employer that provides a retirement. And I said, oh, what do you mean, Grandma? And she said, well, when you go in for the interview, ask them if they have a retirement plan, like a 401k. And I said, got it. And then she said, and if they do, ask them if they match. And I said, what's a match, Grandma? And she said, well, if you put in $1, they also give you $1 up to a certain percentage. And I said, I think I understand. So it's like free money, right, Grandma? She said, precisely. I said, all right, so ask if they've got a retirement plan, might be called a 401k. Then ask if they do a match, which means if I put $1 in, they give me $1, and that's free money. Got it, Grandma. So I went out into the workforce, Wall Street specifically. You see, when I entered some hard times in the early 2000s, when the dot-com crash happened and the planes hit the tower, I had to get another job. You see, the pro snowboarding and the skateboard snowboard shops weren't just cutting all the bills. They weren't paying for everything. So I put my resume out. And I thought I'd end up delivering pizzas for a company called Little Caesars. Maybe you know it. But I went in and they weren't hiring delivery drivers. So the only people that actually called me were Wall Street firms. And I always remembered back to what my grandma told me. My grandma said, make sure you don't make the mistakes that we made. Ask if they've got a 401k. Then ask if they've got a match. So when I sat down for this interview and went through some of the things, and they asked me, Mr. Naugle, what questions do you have for us? I said, well, do you have a retirement plan, one of those 401ks? Why, yes, Mr. Naugle, we do. Great, check number 1. And then I said, all right, well, number 2. Do you guys match? Yes, Mr. Naugle, we match 3% dollar for dollar, which means if you put in up to the first $3, we're going to give you $3 or 3%. And it was in a percentage. I'm just making it simple. And I thought I struck gold. So I started with this Wall Street firm. I did my job. I got there early. I left later than everybody else. And I put my money into that 401k. But I didn't just put the match in. See, I went way higher. I said, because why put in only 3% when I should put in 10? Can I afford to put in 10%? Well, that's what I did. And then every year as I made more money, I increased that. And I got up to the max. Wow, yes, there is a max in 401ks. And you know, I thought I'm doing this all right. I'm getting a tax deduction today which is great. I'm going to pay less in taxes on the money that I'm earning. Number two, I'm saving for that awesome day after 59 and a half years old where I can start taking money from this retirement account and I can sail off into the sunset and what they call retirement. Sounds good, right? I was taking financial knowledge and wisdom from my grandparents, my grandma specifically. And although I loved her, she was not well off. She was not financially free. Even after she retired, she still worked, partly because she wanted to, and partly because they needed to. Extra spending cash, they always called it. Was it really extra spending cash? Or was it because they were part of the 95%? So what do I mean by the 95%? Well, according to Social Security, pay attention. Listen to this very closely. These are the statistics by the Social Security Administration.
Let me let you in on a little secret here. All of these trading gurus have it backwards.
If we take 100 people, only 5 of those 100 people are going to be financially secure. And there's different realms to this financially secure. But 95 out of those 100 will not be financially secure. So what that means is that there's going to be a lot of 65, 75, and 85-year-olds working into the retirement, and it's not because they want to. My grandmother might have told me she worked at Bonton because she wanted to, but was it because she wanted to or because she had to? You see, we can play mind tricks with our minds. So let's now talk a little bit about what I didn't know. Well, here's what I didn't know. By putting money in that 401k and saving for this future day, what I was doing is actually harming myself because the dollars I put in, although I did get a tax deduction today or back then when I was doing it, that tax deduction was at a lower tax bracket than I'm at today. And today I'm at a lower tax bracket than I will be in 10 and 20 years from now. So in other words, by putting money in that 401k, taking grandma's advice, I was literally putting in money at the lowest tax bracket, and then someday later, I should have known, but I didn't, I will take that money out at a higher tax bracket. So I put it in at a lower tax bracket and I take it out at a higher tax bracket. Now folks, here's what we've been brainwashed to believe. When we retire, we will make less money, which means we will pay less in taxes. Oh my God, is that really what you want? Do you really want to retire with less money than you make today? Isn't retirement supposed to be the golden years, the years where we go and travel and check off all those things on the bucket list like the movies? That's going to take more money, not less. So when we retire and we want to take more money, number one, we need more money. But let's just say we subscribe to grandma's put money in a 401k. Maybe we have more money. Maybe the markets were good to us. Maybe we didn't have major fall-offs. Maybe fear didn't hit us. Maybe reality didn't hit us and make us sell all those assets when the markets go down. But I'm going on a tangent. Maybe, just maybe, we do have enough money. But then when we take that money out to go live the perfect life that we have so dreamed about, we have to pay taxes on that money. And those taxes 100% will be higher than they are today and much higher than they were back when I was putting money in a 401k. But let's talk about the other things. All right. Whoa, Steven, I like your hat.
Hey, what's up? Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho. What's up, Greg?
Hey, how's it going? Straight out of a parking lot here. My kid's got 2.5 hour speed and agility training for football, and it's a half an hour from the house. So I was like, you know what, babe, I'm going to take him to football, and then I'm going to set up in the parking lot. So hopefully this is working. I got 2 hours though, just so you know. So it's not like I'm interrupted. So totally good here in California.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know, we got people checking in from all over. If you've been following it, you know, we got Hawaii in the house. We got New Mexico. We got people from Buffalo. Drew's coming in from Ohio or Buffalo or wherever he is. Yeah, I got people from everywhere.
You look cold, Greg.
You know what? I probably shouldn't have found the shaded spot. I didn't want there to be a glare on the screen, but I might be moving a little bit more than normal. I might, I might do a few exercises, but I shouldn't be complaining because it's like 55, 58 degrees. So no complaints here.
Nice. Yeah, we got about, what are we at? About 23 degrees here in Buffalo, New York now. We got a beautiful snowy night. And coming up this weekend for Christmas, I think we're getting another big storm, a couple feet, which should make for some good snowboarding. Steven, what's happening in Florida? You guys got any hurricanes or anything fun?
No hurricanes, man. Just beautiful weather and everything's good down here.
Awesome.
Of course it is.
Well, let's kick this thing off because I think everybody's here to learn a couple things, see how they can save on some taxes, and have a good old time. I don't know what that one is. All right, so let me clear that and let's get this thing rolling here. We are recording. There we go. All right, folks, welcome to another training. We got Mr. Stephen Nagy, we got Mr. Greg Herlean, and I got myself, Mr. Naugle, in the house to teach you all a little bit about some year-end tax planning, but we're not going to get into tax planning at all. Matter of fact, we're just going to talk about your retirement. We're going to talk about ways to take back control of your money and ways where you can make your money work for you instead of working for your advisor or everybody else that you've been trained to give up control, because that's what it's all about, folks. It's all about you taking back control of your money. And that's really what we want to deliver tonight. And the first thing I want to ask, I want to get everybody involved. You guys are all so good with letting us know where you're from. So thank you for that. Let's go into bonus round here. Can all of you who have a 401k, a 403b, 457, TSP, anything, any one of those retirement plans, except for IRAs, if you got an employer-sponsored retirement plan, I want you right over in the chat to put I, and it can be AYE or just a big old I. Let's see how many of, oh, holy smokes. All right, and they're coming in, and the races are going, and it's round in the first corner. All right, so now all of you that have those 401ks or those employer-sponsored retirement plans, round two. So this is for the bonus round two. How many of you still work for the company that you have your 401k? Put work or I or yep, yeah, there we go. Great. Love it, love it. Okay. Now let's go around the third corner here. How many of you have an old 401k, an old 403b, and that money is just sitting there and you have no idea what the hell that money's doing? I want you to put, I don't know, or something like that. Okay, that's me. I don't know. All right. I love this audience. Look at that participation. I love it. All right. So we're gonna address the 800-pound elephant, or the 800, actually elephants weigh way more than 800 pounds. We'll talk about gorillas, right? 800-pound gorillas. Anybody that has money in the markets in a 401k or just a traditional IRA with that trusted Fidelity and all those Schwab accounts and everything else, I got a guess. I'm going to take a guess. You're losing money, right? Am I wrong? Is anyone making money in the markets right now? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone making money right now? Okay. Oh wait. All right. Kevin's making money. All right. All right. So Kevin, chime in. What are you doing? You trading options? You shorting the market? What are you doing? Because everybody else is losing money or hoping or wishing they were making money. How are you making money, Kevin? Because there's a secret to this sauce, and I wonder if Kevin is playing into that. So we got some dividends, making very little. Hey, listen, if you're making very little right now, you're doing really well, because as of, I believe, yesterday or even today, because the markets didn't finish up much, you're probably down anywhere between 15 and 30% for the year. I got some bad news for you. We're going a lot lower. This is limbo, but this is the limbo where you see those people on YouTube that go all the way to the ground. Because if you look at the charts as to where this thing's probably going to go, we're not stopping where we're at. Yes, that's right. Mr. Jerome Powell will never allow that to happen. So what we got to do tonight is we've got to do a couple things. So here's the agenda that Greg, Stephen, and myself are hoping to accomplish. Number one, if it's the end of the year and you're wondering, oh my gosh, how do I save a little more in taxes? We're going to hit that. Now, we're not going to give you any tax advice. If you want tax advice, contact your CPA, your tax advisor. We're not giving you any tax advice or tax recommendations. We're simply going to show you a little way to maybe get an additional tax deduction for year end. But that's not the primary role. What we want to show you how to do is we want to show you how to take that money that's losing and how to turn it into something that's making. Would that be worth all of your time, all 266 of you? If we could just show you how to take the money that's losing and how to actually turn that into money that's making without changing anything in the market, without calling Jerome Powell and be like, Mr. Jerome, listen, I know you're trying to tackle the inflation beast, but really, like, think about the American families now. We're losing money. We want to make money. Forget about that. What if we just show you how to make money without changing anything else? You can do the opposite of what I guess, what is it, 96% of the people do. You got to do the opposite of what 96% do. And then we'll show you a couple strategies how you can make some money. Would that be worth your time? We got some heck yes, got a TSP. And let's do some housekeeping here. If anyone needs to use the restroom, it's right down the hall on the left, or maybe in your house, it's on the right. Just go. You don't need to raise your hand. You don't need to ask permission. Just go to the bathroom. It's okay. We get it. Secondarily, if you have a question, there's right at the bottom of your thing here, there's a little thing that says Q&A. That's where all questions go for the duration of this training. If you put them in the chat, you got about I don't know, maybe a 30% chance of Brandi answering them for you. And let's all put our hands together and say, what's up, Brandi? In the chat, let's say, what's up, Brandi? Brandi's behind the scenes. She does all the hard work that none of us three guys want to do. So Brandi, we love you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's dive into this. I'm going to turn this over to Greg. And Greg, just let's talk about just a few strategies. We're at the, we're in the holiday season. We got Christmas coming up this week, weekend, actually, I should say. And, like a lot of people think that after Christmas, like we're in the New Year's, because that's what it feels like. Everybody takes off the next week, and then all of a sudden you're wondering what happened for New Year's Eve, and you wake up the next morning with, they call that a hangover, just so you know. But we got to do some planning from now till the end of the year to maximize some things. So Greg, what are some things that people can do and some different strategies you know of?
Well, look, thanks for having me, Chris. I'll give you just maybe two, at least start with two. I'm sure we'll talk about others throughout this Zoom, but the first two that come to mind, first and foremost, you might have heard this before. The second one you might not have heard of, but the first one would be maxing out your retirement accounts, and especially if it's a Roth. And we're going to talk about Roth and the differences, whatnot, but there's not a tax advantage for maxing out your Roth, but the importance is actually putting money into your Roth. But if you want to look for a tax write-off right now, you wouldn't do a Roth. You do a traditional account, max it out, and if you're doing 6,000, if you're younger than 50, you do 6,000. If you're over 50, you can do $7,000. Or if you have a 401k, you can max contribute that. That's based upon how much money you make, or simpler SEP. You can get into the 20s or even $30,000 of contributions. But I would say one thing, if you're trying to save money on taxes before the end of the year, some of these accounts, retirement accounts, you do have to fund before the end of the year. Some have until April of next year. I'll tell you something you don't know, but that is definitely something you want to do here in a second. You definitely want to max out your dollar amounts in retirement accounts. The second thing I've seen some people doing, and a lot of people aren't aware of or haven't thought about doing, is we talk about a lot of times self-directing, moving your accounts into investments that you want that are different than the stock market. Well, a lot of people have told me, you know what, I want to do that, but I want to do that after the market comes back, because this last year the market's kicked my ass. And so people are saying, you know what, let me wait. I'm going to move it into self-directed and start investing in real estate or precious metals or whatever it is that you want in businesses once I get back some of my losses. This is actually an interesting time right now also to actually take some losses. If you're looking to take some losses, some capital gains or capital losses, and sell your stocks, some of these stocks, you know your tax situation with your CPA. And so if you're looking for some losses before the end of the year, making some sales in your portfolio and taking some of your losses and doing it, and then taking those funds and funding your retirement account is actually a great way of saving in taxes right now. That's something most people don't think about. Most people don't want to do, frankly, because it's a little bit painful. But you know your tax situation. Every single one of you might have some opportunities to take some write-offs. One great way of taking a write-off is actually taking some losses on these stock accounts. Now, if you're one of those people that have lost 20 or 30% in the last year, which is probably like most of America, and you're thinking, hey, look, I want to now wait till I earn my 20 or 30% back. I think that's part of the problem a lot of people have is they're waiting to gain back their money. So now you're wishing to get back 20 or 30%, which is just put you at even where you were a year ago. And if you're following me in this philosophy or in this idea, I'm not saying go out and sell all of your, all your whole portfolio. I'm saying look at me, you can make a phone call with your CPA or know your tax situation and take a little loss. And that will help you obviously offset your gains and not pay taxes. So that's one, I think, little cheat that most people don't think of or don't want to talk about.
I like that. I like that. Another thing too that we could hit on is, a lot of people, when we asked them if they had 401ks, they said I, and then we asked how many of them had old 401ks that were just sitting around, and a lot of people said I. So there's a unique strategy that they can do with those old 401ks that would help get them out of harm's way of what's coming. I mean, we can't change what's already happened and how much they've lost. So what could they do? Maybe just give them a couple strategies on what they can do with their old 401ks, their old 403bs, any old retirement accounts sitting out there in cyberland. And also, just to kind of wrap that up, maybe go a bonus round and talk a little bit about how, if they're self-employed now, maybe they, during the pandemic, started a company and they're the only employee of their company, how they can get some additional tax benefits from that and tax deductions.
Well, look, first thing you mentioned is those of you that have a retirement plan. A lot of you said yes or I on that said that you have an old retirement plan. Many of you on this call, I saw Josh, Idaho Falls. I want to give you a shout out. I graduated from Skyline, Idaho Falls. So good people there in Idaho. You can actually move your retirement account, your old 401k. In fact, that's what's interesting that I've seen the most recently is in the last 5 years, over 50% of America have moved or changed jobs. Therefore, they have this like existing retirement account that's just hanging out there that they don't even know what they can do with. They weren't really explained what their options are. What you can do, and you can get with Brandi in here and Chris and Stephen here on this call is, we'll give you our information, obviously, is we can help you move those stagnant accounts out there. A lot of people, I bet at least 30% of the people on this call have some kind of, either you or your spouse or loved one have a retirement account from a previous employer sitting there not performing, not only not keeping up with inflation, but going the opposite direction. The number one thing to do that's not necessarily a tax strategy right now is stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding of actually watching that account go down and doing nothing about it, or just being ignorant about it, saying, I don't know where it's at, don't know what it's doing. It's time for you to actually take those funds and invest them in something that you know. I know Private Money Club we're going to talk about, the fund you're going to talk about, the alternative asset place in particular, sorry, background noise here, in particular, real estate. I think most people here are real estate driven. You can invest those old retirement accounts into real estate and not pay taxes on your gains. So that's the first thing I was going to say. I think what was the second question you asked me to kind of hit on besides the 401ks and self-directeds?
Yeah, some of these, I'm sure. So actually, here, let's just check. Real quick in the chat, folks. How many of you are self-employed, own your own company? Maybe you're
That's right.
Sole proprietor, a small business owner. Just put an I over there in the chat. Yeah. So what are some things that a small business owner, not the big companies with 100 employees, but maybe it's just them. What can they do?
So this is where you can kind of combine your initial question with me and someone who said, give me something new, with this whole business entrepreneur side, which is, if you are an entrepreneur and a business owner and have an LLC, what you can do for a good tax write-off, a very good tax write-off, is you can, and when I say you, we will help you do this, create a 401k plan for your business. And why is this so powerful? Because you're able to, if you can, depending upon how much money you've made, you can put a percentage of that money away up to almost $60,000, meaning a $60,000 tax write-off. That is a huge deal. So those of you who want to actually set up your own 401k, self-directed 401k plan, we can help you do that. And when you do so, your contribution, not only personally into your 401k, but also the employer side that contributes, which you happen to be the employer as well. Both of those amounts are a tax deduction if you do a traditional account inside of your 401k. And that is one definitely really big area today that you can, if you're looking to, take off $50,000, $60,000 and you've made enough money to do so, you're able to take off a big chunk. Frankly, it's a really big chunk, 20% or so, in some income that you don't have to pay in taxes if you set it up in a 401k. And we can help you with that, and we can help you with the amounts, et cetera. I mean, we're not on this call going to go over every individual person. There does have to be wages. You do have to pay yourself W-2 income wages, but just so you know, you can do that this year. Like, for example, right now, and you'd have to work with your CPA and us, but it's not too late. You can put your, you can do your W-2 wages for all of last year. You didn't have to have paid yourself W-2 wages throughout the year. You can do it all right now, pay your taxes, your W-2 income, and then do a contribution based upon that amount. It's not that sophisticated. And I don't want to, we're going kind of deeper into stuff here, Chris, and it doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. But if you do have your own business and you're looking for additional tax write-offs, there is a way to put away a lot of money, but you do have to do W-2 income, and that's not too hard to get structured with your CPA.
I love it. Love it. Yeah, I just wanted to get some of that deeper stuff out of the way in the beginning because we had some people, commenting and, asking about solo Ks and that. So you just hit that pretty hard. And, I'll never...
Chris, interrupting you real quick. Sorry. Yeah. I didn't do a total justice on the 401k. So for those of you that want to open up this 401k plan for your business, the other quick little benefits about that, besides you're able to contribute a lot more and get bigger tax write-offs, is you can actually borrow money against your 401k. Now that's universally the same anywhere you have a 401k. But if that is something different than the traditional Roth. So if you set up your account, you can borrow up to $50,000 or 50%, whichever's less, out of that, and use it for anything you want. You can use it for a vacation or investing, etc., and you got to pay it back. But what's cool about when you pay that back, you pay it back at prime, typically +1 or 2. All of that expense, you're paying your retirement account back. You're paying yourself back rather than somebody else or some other company. So sorry to interrupt you there, Chris, but I wanted to just mention that as well for the 401k.
No, for sure. For sure. I remember when I saw you, me and my wife were sitting in the front row at a real estate seminar out in Las Vegas. You got on stage and you were talking about, money. And I was a Wall Street guy back in the day. And I thought I was some pretty big shit back then. I was one of the top guys in my firm. So I thought I knew it all. And you start talking about all this stuff, be your own bank. And, the ultimate in real estate is being the bank. I'll never forget you saying that. And I remember after you got off the stage, I had heard about self-directed IRAs, but as in the firm, like they literally told us, we can't do those. There's nothing we can do. It's too risky for the clients. That's what they told us. Like, I'm just giving you what they told us in the in the trenches as an advisor. They said it's too risky. Your clients will lose their money. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want that. No. Just put them in those mutual funds, sell those variable annuities and do all those things. And that's kind of what they taught us to do. But I remember when I was listening to you, I'm like, wait a second, like this seems logical. And I think you talked about I can't remember who it was, a really wealthy gentleman who used his self-directed IRA and invested in businesses. And then his self-directed IRA went from like hardly anything to the massive. Who was that you were talking about?
Peter Thiel, one of the partners of PayPal. He put $5,000 from his self-directed Roth account years ago. You can Google it, and it's worth today over $5 billion by using the strategies we're talking about. Now, obviously we all want to do that, but you also can do that. Like there you go. Thanks, Stephen. There you go. Turned 2,000, not 5,000, 2,000 in his Roth into over 5 billion. So look, they've now changed the rules, by the way, because the government saw this and they didn't like that very much because they're never going to get a piece of any of that. So they now, last fall, they created a new rule that you can only make $10 million per year in your Roth account. So the government wants to take a bite out of the apple and make sure that you don't put all of your wins in there. So yeah, that's you can invest into businesses. And so I would say, the self-directing thing for those of you that have retirement accounts or, an old 401k and, to what you just said, Chris, I just feel like most advisors are doing, can't control the market. And so I feel like, I even still have some money with my advisor and good guy, like him, right? And but he still can't control the market. And so I'd rather, if I'm going to lose money, I'd rather do it on my accord, on my deals. And so that's why we found most people that love to get involved and open up accounts, they're self-directed accounts with us. They can invest in what they want. And I will tell you, there is a reason why only a certain percentage of individuals do what we're talking about. First, lack of education. Like your firm and most other firms, they don't want advisors referring it out somewhere else, so they don't teach it to you, and they also you don't get paid on it, so they don't want that. And number two, it's not for everybody. For those of you that are listening to this, they're like, hey, look, I like this concept, but now what? So I want to put my money in deals, but I have 0 deals. I don't know where to go with it. I think, Chris, you can probably hit on that a little bit here in a second. But that is still a problem. If you truly do not want, if you just want to like say, hey, advisor, put me in moderate risk, and then you want to step away, this is not for you. And I don't think even private money clubs for you. That you do, but for the other people that want to take action, and that probably most likely they're on this call that are entrepreneurs or that feel like they can do a better job, you get to pick and choose. And I think someone actually mentioned in the comments that elaborate on being the bank, specifically to me. And it's a long time ago, somebody was the bank to me with their retirement funds. They lent me $60,000 out of their IRA, their self-directed IRA, on my first real estate deal. They were basically the bank. And in return, I gave them a percentage of the profits, 75%. And so that totally changed my way of thinking about how powerful a retirement account is. And so now today, for those of you that have retirement accounts, you too can be in this position where you have full-time jobs or kids or whatever life, football practices like I'm at right now. And you can actually lend the money to someone, and I'll use the example with Chris right here, right? Chris used to love going out and finding all the deals. That was your thing. And I love that about you, but I also love that I was at football practice saying, hey, as long as I'm paid off in 12 months, I'm totally good. Remember those conversations?
Oh, yeah,
You're out there
totally
picking the colors and the realtors and the contractors. And so there are a lot of people out there who are really good and really enjoy that part of the business. But being the banker, who once someone did for me, and now I like to do with my retirement funds for others, and getting a fixed return or a percentage of the profits is super powerful by using your self-directed IRA. And you get to choose it. You get to choose your partners. You get to choose the contract and how that works. We just help you make sure that it's done the right way.
I love it. So folks, real quick, I just want to ask, how many of you love paying taxes? Like you make money in real estate, you make money on stocks, you make money on a business venture you do. And, at the end of the year, you got to pay a big tax bill. How many of you love that? Come on, there's got to be someone. What? None of you believe that like paying taxes is for the greater good? None of you, what? Where did we find these people? Normally we get people on here that just love paying taxes. Yeah, I'm totally kidding, Byron. All right, so let's go back to Peter Thiel, right? And what he did with 2,000 and turned it into that massive amount. Some of you might be like, yeah, well, that was PayPal and I can't do that. Well, let me ask you this. How many of you are real estate investors on here? Any real estate investors? Any wholesalers on here? Anyone ever heard of wholesaling? Okay, there we go. We got a bunch of wholesalers. So let's just play a little game, right? Let's say you don't ever want to pay any taxes except for on the income that you make, but you don't want to pay any taxes on any of the wholesale profits that you ever make, right? Does that sound cool? That'd be pretty cool, right, Freddie? So, you put a property under contract and you put $5,000 down on that contract, right? Now you own that contract. That contract is under your control because you've got a legally binding contract to buy that property, and you put $5,000 earnest money deposit down on that property. You all understand how that works. Wholesale is basically you're just moving paper. So Freddie's got $5,000 down on this great property. He picked it up for $100,000, but it's worth $300,000. That'd be a sweet deal. So he goes to someone like Steven and he says, hey, Steven, I got this property and I'm willing to let it go to you for $150,000. Yeah, it's worth $300,000. You can have it for $150,000 and it needs $50,000 in rehab. So Steven says, well, that seems like a no-brainer. So Freddie wholesales that piece of paper, that contract, sells it to Steven, all legally. Okay, Steven pays $150,000. Now in the middle, how much money did Freddie make, folks? He bought it for $100,000, but he put $5,000 down, and he sold it to Steven for $150,000. What was his profit on that deal? $50,000. That's right, Todd. So Freddie made $50,000. Can anyone tell me in a normal world how much tax Freddie would pay on that $50,000? Anywhere between 20 and almost 50%. Let's just call it 40% for safekeeping, right? Let's say Freddie doesn't want to pay tax on that $50,000. Well, number one, he can, run off to the Bahamas or wherever the hell he wants and try to evade the taxes. Or what if Freddie just did one thing? He took $5,000 and he just changed where that money went first, and he put it into a Roth IRA. Okay. He just set up a self-directed Roth IRA with Horizon Trust. So he's got $5,000 in that Roth IRA. Then when he got that contract on that property for $100,000, a sweet deal, and he needed the deposit, he basically went to Brandi and she helped him facilitate that $5,000 escrow deposit from his self-directed Roth IRA. So now that piece of paper, that contract, is owned by Freddie's Roth IRA. Stephen pays Freddie's Roth IRA the $50,000 spread that he makes on that deal. So 50 grand profit just went into that self-directed Roth IRA. Remember, Freddie started with 5 grand in the self-directed IRA. The 5 grand went for the deposit. Freddie then sold the contract, made 50 grand. 50 grand now is in his Roth. How much money is in his Roth IRA? The 5 he started plus the 50,000 that Stephen just paid him. So Freddie just profited 50 grand. His Roth IRA has $55,000. Let's say Freddie's 59.5 this year, and Freddie takes 100% of that $55,000 out of his Roth IRA. Who can tell me how much tax Freddie paid on that 55,000 or on that 50 grand that he just made? That's right, 0. Now, do you all understand how Peter Thiel did it? It doesn't have to be a wholesale deal. It doesn't have to be a real estate deal. It could be business ventures. Maybe Peter invested in PayPal and all of it was done with that $2,000. You know, whatever it was. That's how this is done, folks. Think about that.
Hey, Chris,
how many times does Freddie want to do that each year? Stephen, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw a couple of people earlier commenting that they want to be the bank. They want to become the bank. Like what? So let's just real fast talk about that. So what do banks do? You give them $1. They don't keep that dollar in like a safe deposit box, right? You go deposit 100 grand. They take that money. They immediately start moving that money. So how do they do that? They do loans. They do lending. So you would need to buy a house. They give you a mortgage. You need to buy a car. They give you a car note. You want to start a business. They give you a business loan. You want to remodel your house. They give you a remodel loan. So they do all these loans and lending. And then what do banks do with their money? They buy real estate, right? So that's why some of the most beautiful buildings in the cities across the world are banks. I mean, that's where they put their money, into real estate. So that's what being the bank really is all about. So you can do that. And here's the beautiful thing is if you use something like a Roth IRA, let me just show you a quick example of this. So if you use something like a Roth IRA, I mean, this is just a quick example, but this guy right here started with $45,000. He smartly invested over the next 20 years and earned a 17% return annually. Not hard to do when you start getting into this world of real estate and private funds and things of that nature. At a typical tax rate, he would have, at the end of the 20 years, had a balance of about $426,000. But taking that same $45,000 and doing the exact same thing with it over the 20 years in a Roth IRA, he now has over $1 million. So he had a tax savings over $613,000, which is real money. So which would you rather, have 400 grand or over $1 million? Okay, now here's the thing. This is what banks do. This is what you can do also. You decide, do you want to pay taxes on it or not? Now, if you don't want to pay taxes on it, which I'm sure nobody on here wants to, go to Fidelity, go to Charles Schwab, go to wherever your IRA is housed right now and tell them you want to give Chris Naugle a private loan for a real estate deal. You want to give Craig Herlean money for a private fund. You want to give me money for a business startup. Guess what Fidelity or Charles Schwab is going to tell you? No. We'll let you put money into the stock market or mutual funds or, whatever, REITs, right? These real estate investment trusts. Don't get me started with those things, but they're going to let you what they want you to invest in. They're going to tell you, no, you can't do business loans and private lending and go buy rental houses and commercial property and storage units and mobile home parks. No, you can't do that with your IRA, but you have an IRA with Greg and Horizon Trust. Guess what? Now you can do all of that. So if you like the idea of making over $1 million instead of 400,000, it's that simple. That's how you become the bank, but that's how you become the bank and don't pay taxes on it, which to me is much better.
Preach, baby. I love it. That was good. Thank you, Stephen. And you know what? How good was that, Chris? He came in with a nice graph real quick and numbers. That was the story.
The pretty stuff, man.
That cleaned it up. That cleaned it up so well. I mean, you either do it inside your IRA, in your Roth IRA, or outside of it. And that example was perfect for wholesaling. That example Chris gave, I think you were going to tie it in, actually, you said, Chris, with what Stephen just talked about is the perfect example. Rocket, Stephen. That was nice.
Yeah, and you can literally invest in, I mean, almost anything except for like collectibles. So, I mean, this is all stuff that we do. I mean, residential real estate, debt, liens, gold, silver, precious metals, businesses, and you can still invest in stocks if that's your thing, but anything from intellectual property, crypto, loans. I mean, the list is almost endless of your options. It just opens up a whole new world for you. So
Wait,
cool.
so you're saying I can pick up a whole bunch of FTT coins with this?
Okay, well, hold on. There's certain things you can't do.
Yeah, hitting below the belt, hitting below the belt. Sorry about that. Had to. It's been all over the news. All right, so let's bring it back another time here. One thing that I love about this is, what me and my wife Larissa did when we actually learned about this. We went back and I had an old 401k from the financial firm I worked for, and I rolled it into a Horizon self-directed IRA. Ever since then, all I've done is I've lent that money out. I was the bank. So as I had money, I found people that needed money. People just like me, back when me and Larissa were flipping houses, I would call Greg almost weekly. Greg, we got another deal. Hey man, I need 300. I need 150. I need 200. And he was just like he said, he was sitting at his son's football game or his son's, soccer game or whatever it was. And he's just like, sure, just make sure the payments come in. And he was always in first position. Now, I never really put too much, thought into this. I'm just like, hey, he's going to give me the money. And sure, yeah, I'll pay you at 12 or 15%, or I think you charged me 12 and 3 points is what it was. So about 15% is what I paid. And it was never an issue because the deal supported it. But I would make those monthly payments to Greg and not even think about it. And I'd get the deal, I'd flip it, and I'd send him his principal back. And then we would repeat the process. But all the while, I was doing all the work. I was literally the one doing all the work, and Greg was making all the money. Sure, we both made money, but that's what was cool about it, is it was a win-win scenario. I needed money for my flips in my real estate deals, and Greg had the money in his self-directed IRAs. So like, how much more of a win-win can that be? Does Wall Street need your money? Do you think Apple needs more of your money for buying more of your stock? Are they going to send you a thank you card? Are they going to, hang out with you when you go to a seminar that they're at? No. Not at all. Win-win relationships are what you all want, because there's really one of two sides you can be on. You're either on the side where you have money and you want to make more money. I don't care where that money sits. Maybe it's in a savings. Maybe it's in an old 401k. Maybe it's in a current 401k. You want that money to make money, not lose money. You already said that. Well,
can I add to this, Chris, before this goes, because I've been on these before with other people, and I'll get blown up with all these emails saying, hey, I was on your webinar. I love it. I'd like to borrow $1 million, Greg. So let me just preface this conversation. Chris and I have built a relationship over a long period of time, and so I started lending him some money for my self-directed IRA. At Horizon Trust Company, what we do, and we've got thousands of clients and hundreds every month of new ones. We don't solicit and we don't invest in your deals. We are a licensed company that enables you, like a vehicle that enables you to open up an account, do it the right way, and contribute and invest in the things that you want. We are not the investment firm. And so I wanted to preface that. But I can tell you that in these communities, I've seen them. Chris, you got a great one, and others as well, where they're all around you. I mean, we started the phone call off with this: is who's got an IRA? There's several of you here on this call, and Private Money Club does the same thing, where you can, there you go, right on point, where it can get people together that are looking for, money, and vice versa, are looking for deals. And so at Horizon, we're just the vehicle that allows you to do those things without paying taxes on your gains, maybe ever if you do it inside of a Roth. If it's outside of a Roth, then you'll pay taxes eventually when you pull it out. So I wanted to preface that. Sorry, Chris, to interrupt you there, but I wanted, before I got blown up with emails, yeah, man, I want to borrow money from Greg's IRA. That's not necessarily the presentation.
Yeah, no, not at all. But folks, one of the things that I always found hard, when I started getting into being the bank and lending money out, is I found it hard to find the people that needed the money. It wasn't like there was just a place I could go, like, my broker or, the Wall Street stuff. Or you could just go anywhere and you could be like, hey, I'm going to buy Apple or any stock. They're all there right in front of you. You don't really need to think. So with what we're talking about in the self-directed IRAs, finding the deals like what we were talking about with the relationship Greg and I had, I was finding the deals. Luckily, Greg knew me, so I brought the deals to Greg. Well, what Private Money Club does is it essentially is, it's kind of like a dating site. There's two different people. There's people that have money and there's people that need money. And we'll do that in a second. But these are all just deals. This deal just got posted. So how many of you know Memphis? So this guy posted this deal right here in Memphis. He needs 107,000. He's offering 12% simple interest in first lien position. How many of you have seen Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights? If you look at my Instagram or my TikTok, I got a really funny video we just put up on there all about this. But remember in that movie Talladega Nights when Ricky's in school and his dad comes in to show and tell and he's so excited, dad gets in trouble and gets kicked out the door. And on the way walking to his car, Ricky's standing at the door crying like his dad just got kicked out. And what does his dad say? His dad says, son, if you're not first, you're last. And then at the end of the movie, he said, well, hell, there's second place and third, but let's just focus on if you're not first, you're last. So right here, you're in first position. So if this gentleman here, Eric, doesn't pay me, if I lend him 107.5 from my self-directed IRA, and I go in first position, meaning if he doesn't pay me, I'm the one that controls the deal. So I'm in first position. I can foreclose on that. And, you know, whatever money he paid me, that 12%, great. But let's just assume that he continues to make the payments like I always used to. We got ourselves a good deal. So he's got all the info here, the description of the deal, the financials of the deal, the property. And if I wanted to connect with Eric, which I believe I've already done, if I'm not mistaken, I think I already sent him a private message asking him. Yep, I did, right here. So I sent him a couple messages. I said, you know, hey, can you send me your deal right here? I want to see your loan proposal. So he asked, what does it look like? I sent him a little thing and he said, great, makes sense. I'll look to download the package and get it. So I'm just waiting for that. But once I get the package, then I can basically kind of go in and I could do this deal and my money could start earning me 12%. So this is just one example of many, many examples on here, folks. Private Money Club is just that. It makes it simple for borrowers and lenders to come together and do exactly what we've been talking about. I mean, heck, eventually there might be other opportunities on here, but for right now, it's just non-owner occupied real estate. And people are like, oh yeah, those guys got a lot of money they'll lend on there. Really? Because here's a deal for 20,000 bucks. And actually, we know these two jokers. This is Dwight and Brandon. Know them really well. They've done thousands of deals. Another $20,000 deal. But you know, on here, there's all sorts of people, folks. And I'm not trying to make this about Private Money Club, but I just want to give you an idea. If you're a lender and your self-directed IRA's got 25 to 50,000, you basically just put a profile up. Please put a photo. Like, how many of you want to be friends with somebody that you can't see their face? Ah, here's a nice guy. So I'm going to be friends with him. I'm going to be friends with him. You just connect with them. We all know how this works with Facebook and Instagram and all those places. You got to friend people if you want to do business. But I know for a fact that these folks are lenders with 25 to 50, and I can dial the range. Well, if I'm somebody that has money and I want to look to lend that money, I can do just the opposite, and I can go in and I can pull up all the borrowers. Now, most borrowers are looking for more like 250 in today's world, but you just go in. This guy, I've lent money to Chris Wall. Actually, Greg, you may have too. Chris Wall is a very good investor, so here's another one. But all I'm saying is, folks, this gives you the opportunity to make your money go to work for you. And it's right there in a site that you're all pretty used to using, because listen, I'm not calling you guys out, but I'll bet you a lot of you have used dating sites. I'm not calling you out, but I bet you have. It works just like that. It's just another way for you to make your money go to work for you. Stephen, real quick, can you show one of our clients with the Bank of Mary and what are their names again? We got a really good example.
Yeah,
Charles
definitely.
and Mary.
Share the screen. All right, so this is what we like to call consistent and predictable income for the rest of your life. And this is, you know, those of you that are on there that you're telling, you know, you're riding the stock market down right now, or, you know, somebody's saying, they were asking, well, isn't it kind of risky? You know, we're dealing with retirement dollars here. So we don't want to get into like risky, you know, ventures, venture capital, things like that. And yeah, that's, you know, you can do that if you're younger and you want to take on that risk, that's an option. But for those of you that, you know, want to just feel that consistent, you know, feel like you're protected. I mean, that's what that first lien position does. And that's exactly what we taught Charles and Mary Jones to do. So this was a case study from several years ago, but just awesome people. So we still use it. So they were 10 years from retirement. They had $350,000 in their retirement accounts. They were inexperienced at managing investments, and they did not want an active role. So they didn't want to be the ones going out there like Chris was, finding the wholesale deals and dealing with the contractors and dealing with tenants and rentals and everything else. They wanted to be inactive. They wanted to focus on their farm, their business, and what they were good at, but have their investment accounts growing and not take on the roller coaster of what the markets tend to be a lot of the times. So what we did is we came up with a plan for them where they went out and they started doing these first lien position loans to people. So they ended up lending to friends of theirs, people that they knew in the area in Idaho. And so at the time, they didn't want to be like super greedy or anything. So they agreed to do these loans at 9%. Now, I'll say that's a good interest rate. Most common right now I'm seeing in private money club is like 10 to 15%. So 9% it's a win-win for both parties, the borrower and the lender. And this is what they were able to do. They took their $350,000. They committed to continuing to contribute $13,000 a year, so $6,500 each into their IRAs. They had 10 years to go to retirement. So they did this for 10 years and they did these loans at 9% annual returns. So they were able to grow that money from $350,000 to just over $1 million in that 10-year time span. So now they have $1 million sitting in their retirement accounts at retirement age. So what they decided to do was, hey, we're going to retire now, but instead of just using that $1 million and withdrawing and living off that $1 million, they realized that doing these loans was very easy. They had the relationships in place. They had the process in place. They had the contracts in place. They had all the work done. So all they had to do was keep giving the loans to their friends. The friends could keep growing their businesses and growing their wealth, win-win situations. So they were able to take that $1 million, continuing to do that. They were able to create a $92,000 annual income for themselves, or $7,700 a month coming in every single month without ever touching that $1 million nest egg that they had accumulated in their retirement accounts. So now instead of, withdrawing money when they need it and depleting it, or, being able to pull money out when the market's doing well, they have this consistent, predictable income of about $7,700 a month. They know that they have coming in every single month. Now they can plan. Now they can do things in life without the stress of worrying about it and without having to worry about depleting what they didn't want to. So it creates a great situation there. And that's what these private loans, as an example, can do for you.
Fantastic. Sorry, I was trying to get some of the questions out. So folks, if you've got questions, put them right over in the Q&A. But I mean, listen, that's just one example of many. Greg, I don't even know how many testimonials you got.
Yeah, I was going to add something here to this too, as well. If you wanted, I'm more going to talk about you guys for a second, but there's, many people, including myself, not only from a lending perspective, but also from investing in someone else's fund or deals, is something that we do as well. And so I know right now you guys, I don't know if you're okay talking about it, but you guys actually have a fund as well. And so, I know you can probably contact Steven on that, but there is other ways of doing it where you can invest in other people's funds if you're not exactly sure where you want to go. Where it is, rather than being debt structured, it could be more equity structured, where you can, since, a lot of people that use their retirement funds, you don't necessarily need the money now because you can't spend it now. A lot of you are younger than 59 and a half. And so therefore, let's say if you're open to doing something, I know, again, I'll pass it to you guys, but some of these funds or different opportunities, you can actually, you're not going to make gains for 2 or 3 or 4 years. It could take 2 years or 3 years. And some are not, some are older than 59 and a half. But for those that are, and even aren't, if you're not planning on taking any kind of distributions for a few years, there's different kind of opportunities to make bigger gains. Typically, if you're looking for a short term, because you might want to take your money out now, real time, you're typically going to earn between 6 and 10%. That's just what I've been seeing in general. Now, sure, there's 15% rate of returns and 12%, et cetera, but that's kind of, you're looking for short term kind of deals. That's what I'm seeing. Looking for longer term kind of opportunities, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're typically seeing kind of mid-range double-digit returns, 15, maybe up to 20%. So I see those as well. So I just wanted to mention that because some people, say, oh, I know so-and-so, and that's where you can go and have questions to invest your funds. Our job is to get your account structured the right way, the right kind of account for you, that works for your kind of business or for you personally.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, we definitely can talk about it. Matter of fact, we just inked we're getting ready to ink one of the deals in this new fund. That's actually two deals that are extremely lucrative. Stephen, let me let you comment on this because I know we were both on that call. What are your thoughts of in the fund's name is Insignia? Stephen, like if somebody wants to, I always say that wrong. Why don't you say it right? Inicio, Insignia.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, just to give you
grammar's
guys a
not
quick...
my number one thing. I'm a numbers guy, not a grammar guy.
I mean,
Inicio.
Inicio real estate fund. I mean, it's, Greg's done, I don't know, $1 trillion in real estate over the years, Greg, something like that. I mean, I like to talk you up a little bit. I mean, maybe not that much, but you've done a lot of real estate over the years, right? I mean, and so what we've done is Greg and Chris and a couple of the other partners have done several real estate funds over the years, dozens of them, and collect, get money and do more deals, build their wealth while making money for other people. It's a beautiful thing. Very similar to private lending, except instead of lending on one deal, you give your money to the fund, and then the fund has the ability to then lend on a bunch of different deals. So it's, so to say, kind of like diversifying a little bit. But instead of it being this big, large, like a REIT, like a real estate investment trust or one of these big public offerings, these funds are very private. You have to know the person. There has to be a relationship built there. And that's one thing that, I believe that we're very good at, especially Greg, Chris, and some of the other partners in the fund, people like Kent Clothier and Justin Colby, and just rock star investors. So over the years, a lot of the funds have been mostly debt. So, let's invest a year with us and we'll pay you a 6% annual return, or invest for 3 years with us and we'll pay you a 10% annual return. Again, it's great. A nice, consistent, predictable income. You know what's coming in, you know what that looks like, and you can plan on it. But when real estate markets start to change, like we're seeing right now, people start to see opportunity and they start to see dollar signs, and they say, well, I know that you guys have a lot of experience, that you guys made a lot of money during the last real estate downturn in 2008, buying stuff like foreclosures in 2010, 11, 12. So we want to be part of that. But we don't want to just receive debt. Like we don't want, 8, 10, 12%. That's great and all, but we want a share of the action. We want some of that profit that we know you guys are making on these deals. So from popular demand, we got together this rock star group of real estate investors. We partnered together in this new Inicio fund. And that's what we're looking for, is time sensitive deals that we can go out that are high profit and we can make great money on. And that's what's happening right now. We're already starting to see it as this market starts to change right now. We're starting to see these opportunities arise because what's going on with the banks? They're tightening. Their restrictions are getting tighter. I mean, I don't care how quick a bank is. It's going to take 60 days the quickest to get that money from a bank, no matter what. So we're able to move fast. We're nimble. We can get the money out when people need it. So what we've done is we put this new fund together, not only to pay a nice 4% preferred return annually, but to allow you to share in the profits on the equity side. So 78, 80% of the profits on the equity side. So that's what Inicio fund is. And we just, we can't talk the specifics on the two deals because they're not completely inked yet, but we do have, I guess you can call letters of intent on two of our first deals. This fund was just launched a couple weeks ago. The website just came out like 2 days ago or something. So it's brand new. It'll close down in the next, I don't know, 3 to 6 months once we raise the money. So now would be a great time to take a look at this. And the two deals we just inked the letter of intent on, so to say, are incredible. I mean, the returns on them are very, very strong. So if you're looking to get a nice little return plus a nice share of equity moving forward as we make money in this fund, then this would be a good solution as well. And this is something, because of the long-term nature of it, I mean, I'm going to tell you a 5-year commitment. So because of the nature of this, coming out of a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA or a solo K, it makes all the sense in the world to do that. Even if you're taking distributions right now, like let's say you put $500,000 into this thing and you're making, let's just say 15% returns from it. I mean, do the math on that. Now you have that money, you're not touching your principal, but those returns are now coming back to you, right? So we could talk more specifics on that. If anybody wants to email me, I can send it over to you and we can hop on a call, but it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, so folks, we'll put up a link so you can set up a call with Steven and talk about Inicio. Sorry. I don't know why. From day one, I've always wanted to call it something that it wasn't, but it's a phenomenal fund, one that's very different than the other funds that we've done, but one that's also really good for all of you that, like, you're looking at PMC and you're like, I don't know how to do this. I'm too busy at work. My business is too busy. I don't want to learn how to be a private lender or any of that. So that basically is just like what you're doing now. You find something you want to invest in that you know, like, and understand, and you just invest in it and you just start getting the return. That's the beauty of that. And, you know, folks, I know early on we gave a shout out to Brandi, but I want to give another shout out to Brandi. So any of you that have been answering or asking questions or putting stuff in the chat, they haven't miraculously been getting answered by us. As you can see, we're talking. Brandi's been behind the scenes answering as many of your questions as she can, and we'll get to the rest of them. I won't leave until all your questions are answered. But also, a lot of you are probably thinking, okay, well, what does it take? How do I get started? How do I take my old 401k and move it into a self-directed IRA? How do I set up one of those self-directed Roths or those solo Ks? So Brandi's your point contact. She can answer all your questions. She can set up a call. Right there, you've got the info for Inicio. But Brandi, can you put your info up again? And you're getting all sorts of love here. But if you want to set up a call, Brandi can kind of walk you through your specific situation and, you know, the different things that you can do with Horizon and what makes sense for you. It's always the best way to do it. And I saw a couple people, you know, there's a lot of people here that were asking, well, what are the fees? What are the fees? You know, I know that always comes up. And, you know, my simple answer is always cost is only an issue in the absence of value. What do you value? But let's just get that out of the way. Greg, do you want to tackle that one a little bit about the fees?
Yeah, well, there's no secret about it. So it's that at the most it's 1%. It's a sliding scale, actually. So the bigger your account, the smaller the percentage. And so the average account is about 50 to 60 basis points, which is about 0.5%. So there is a setup fee. That is a one-time. That's your setup. Your annual fees. Everything's included. Also gives you tickets to. It actually gives you tickets to events as well. But after that first initial setup, every year thereafter, it's based on your asset valuation. And so at the most, it's 1%. That would be basically for $40,000 and less. And then the more you have, the lesser that percentage is. And so I'd say the average account fee is around between $500 and $600 a year. And just to give you that in perspective, most of you are paying, if you're with the financial advisor, you're paying at least 1%. You might think you're only paying 1%, but you're paying anywhere from 1%, that with the debt and ratios and costs, paying between 1% and 3%. Yeah. So the fee should never be an issue. And then number two, it includes everything. So we don't do the nickel and diming where you get fees for wires and purchase and buy and selling assets, etc. We are very big on making sure we're fast at what we do. And that's the other thing I wanted to say for those of you that want to get started and in contact here, Brandi. I know there's people in here that have already worked with her who are great. Hey, and I see you in there too. Moving your money over quickly to the trust company is one of the most important things. And so it's funny because I've had one or two times in the last, I don't know, a few years, like, oh, well, your fees are $50 more per whatever. I'll give you an idea of that. If we're able to move your money over in 2 weeks or in 10 days over to our company rather than in 4 to 6 or 8 weeks, that is 6 weeks sooner that you're able to invest in different opportunities. And you can, the math we already did today, what's 6 to 8 weeks or what's even 4 weeks? That's 1%. That's 1% of interest you could have made on something else. So service is really what we're good at. And so that's what we focus on. And that there's no secrets behind our fee schedule. So there is just a 1 year, the first year, it's an annual fee and setup cost, and includes everything, includes tickets also to a few events. And that's $14.95 for the first year. If your account is more than $40,000. And then after that, every year going forward, it is between 100 basis points and 25 basis points. So that's a quarter of a point to 1%. Hopefully that's clear enough.
It is. And just being a financial advisor and working in that world for 16 years, folks, I will tell you, like, if your financial advisor charges you 1%, that'd be a good deal. That would be, you got a good relationship with your advisor, because a lot of them are 1.25 to 1.5%. That's not all that you're paying, because that's just the fee they're charging you to manage your assets. Then they're probably investing you in maybe mutual funds, maybe ETFs. If it's all stocks, great, then that's your cost. But if they're putting you in mutual funds, there's going to be some type of a management and 12b1 fee there. If you're going into ETFs, it's still, even though it's lower, there's still a percentage they're charging. I mean, it can be as low as 10 basis points and as high as almost 1%. So that's on top of what the advisor is charging you. So when you think about the self-directed IRA model, it's a much more cost-effective model than what most of you are doing. And some of you, I know you're looking at your 401k statement going, nope, I'm not paying any fees. Man, they got you so fooled. Ask them to send you the prospectus. It's about yay thick. I don't know, anywhere like this. Read that whole thing, because you'll find that your 401k funds are some of the most expensive funds in the industry, bar none, especially those prized retirement target dated funds. You know, oh my gosh, just pick the one that's when you want to retire, 20, 45. And we'll self-adjust it till you get to retirement so that when you're there, it's in conservative funds. Those are some of the most expensive funds out there. That's why they're the most prevalent inside 401ks. So folks, they've got your number and they know how to play it. They're making a lot, and you are not in control. This right here gives you the ability to be in control of your money. We've literally showed you not only how to take back control of your money by moving it, by changing just where it goes into the self-directed IRA, the solo K, the self-directed Roth, but then we've shown you two, and there's a lot more than that, two different opportunities on how to then make that money go to work for you. And I showed you firsthand in Private Money Club, I showed you one deal that was 12%. There's plenty of other deals at 15% and so on. So I don't make these returns up. I'm not promising a return. These are actual deals on the site. And then we talked about our fund, our brand new fund that, you know, you get paid a preferred interest rate, but then you're going to share in the backside of some ridiculously lucrative real estate deals. And I'll tell you something right now, folks, make no two ways about it. This fund was set up because of what's going on in the economy. Pretty soon, and actually happening right now, if you're paying attention, you're seeing everything start to fall apart. You're seeing real estate come off of its highs, pretty big double digits in some parts of the country. That's going to go further and further. And guess what? This fund is going to be there to take advantage of these crazy opportunities as things shed, because banks are going to let people down. They're going to stop lending, and we're going to be there to pick up the scraps and take advantage of really lucrative real estate deals. And you get to, for the first time in any fund I've ever been part of, you get to share in that backside profit. So this is, you know, we normally in these trainings just talk about the self-directed IRAs. Here we're actually saying, here's where your money can be held, which is less expensive than what you're doing and probably going to give you a lot more options. Then here's some options on how you can make that money go to work for you at a fixed return. And folks, just look at the board behind me here real quick. This right here is what it looks like when you're in Wall Street, right? You never know what you're going to be. One day it's up, next day it's down, next day it's up, down, and then eventually that's where you're going to be next. This is what my self-directed IRA looks like. Nice, smooth, steady line. And the reason it goes up is that's compounding, folks. If I pull my Horizon Trust account and I show you my account or Larissa's, and I'm sure Greg's is the same, it literally looks like a straight line up. Because how can it look like anything else? There's no volatility in it. You're just getting an interest payment every month for lending the money out or whatever you're doing. Now, there's other alternatives in what you can do, but I just do the lending. And folks, you can do the same thing. We've given you lots of stuff. Now, I know we're at the top of the hour, but I want to make sure we get these questions. So, Stephen, you want to kind of fire us off through the questions here?
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's see. Hope you can touch on capital gains for my fix and flip. Well, that's easy. Use an IRA for it.
Or pay taxes, one or two ways.
Yeah, if you've already started that deal, it's you know, you're already in there, so you can't move that deal into your retirement account, but you can pay those taxes and you know, take those profits and create a retirement account. So the next deal you do, you won't pay taxes. So anyways, go ahead. Next question.
Is 3K the max that you can deduct in losses for the year?
It depends on what kind of losses. So
SD IRA real estate cannot take tax deductions, correct?
Correct.
Hi, Brandi. Randy Cinda here. I think that's a personal message. Is there any kind of vetting process for Private Money Club, like a ranking system to know who is a good investment and who may have a history of bad business ventures.
You want to hit that one, or you want me to hit that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a review system on Private Money Club, but what you'll do, Amanda, is when you're going to get like the Private Money Guide, and we do Money Club Mondays. Every Monday we do trainings. This Thursday, actually, we have our 2-hour coaching that we do where we go in and really get into that. So you'll learn how to vet the borrower and get their personal financial statements and look at their perfect loan proposals. And so you'll learn how to do all that. But on PMC, specifically to your question, there is a review system, and we do have certification badges coming out next year for that as well.
Yeah, the certification system that we're putting in place is really to answer that question, Amanda. It's not here yet, but inside the next 3 to 6 months, it will be. We're creating different levels of certifications. Think of any other profession, like there's a certification program. So in Private Money Club, eventually you'll look at people's profiles, and maybe there'll be a silver certified borrower, or silver certified lender, or gold, or platinum, or bronze. You'll know then they went through a certification program, which is sort of a self-policing type thing, because they're not going to spend the time and the money to get certified if they're well, I shouldn't say that, but it's a better chance that they're going to be a more lucrative borrower or lender in the platform. So that's coming really soon. Outside of that, it's like Uber, it's peer rated. So you just want to make sure you work with people that have some type of peer rating, and that's the best advice I could give you on that.
All right. Are we taxed on the traditional and Roth self-directed IRA lending interest that they receive? And the answer to that is a traditional would be tax deferred. So you pay taxes on it when you start withdrawing. A Roth is all tax-free growth. A beautiful thing. How are they not depleting the $1 million in that example? Dion, it's because they're taking that $1 million and they're continuing to lend that out at 9%. So the way that most private lending works, it's all negotiable. It's a private loan, so you can do whatever terms you want. But the way most terms are is interest paid monthly on the principal amount, and then the return of the principal at the end of the deal when it closes out. So if you take $1 million and lend it at 9%, if you do that math, that's $90,000 a year. If you break that, divide it by 12 months, that's about $7,600 a month. So they would have $7,600 a month coming in from that interest, 9% interest they're earning, without ever touching the $1 million. Catherine asks, so how much in taxes had Mary and Greg, the couple from the example, to pay on the 7.7? So if they're withdrawing that money each month, then they're going to pay whatever their taxable income bracket is at that time. Now, remember, the idea of an IRA is when you retire, your earned income basically goes to nothing, right? If you don't have W-2 income or you don't have money coming in like that. So the idea is in retirement, you're in a lower tax bracket. So when you do start withdrawing that money, you are paying less in taxes than if you had paid those taxes in your highest earning years in like your 40s, 50s, whatever the case might be. So does that make sense?
Real quick, just a quick error. I've made 2 mistakes. I told everybody if they wanted to get into Private Money Club tonight, we'd give them a code, like a discount code, to get $500 off. And that was tonight only. And of course, I spelled it wrong. It's founders, not founder. Sorry about that.
All right. So you're saying I can take the balance of my repayment of a loan I took from my self-directed IRA can be used right now to invest in a Roth IRA, use it to loan to investors. Hold on. I don't. You get that one, Chris?
So you're saying I could take the balance of my repayment of a loan I took from my self-directed IRA can be used right now to invest in a Roth. Greg, can you make sense of that question from the anonymous?
Yeah, I think you. The quick answer is yes. You technically could do that.
Seems like
you could take a loan from your 401k, and if you're able to, you could fund a Roth account. But I don't think it makes the most sense. So again, I'd set up a call, and I think you've already reiterated that. It's a free strategy call that we do for you that Brandi doing. It doesn't make sense really to do that, because if you borrow money, you've got to then pay it back at an interest rate. And so that's not the ideal scenario. So,
all right. Can you get to 15% with 200,000? David, just mess. We'll talk about it, David. What's Inicio's fees?
Inicio's fees? We don't, Inicio doesn't have any fees to you.
Yeah, we're not a money manager. or
Yeah,
anything.
no.
So we're
There's
not
no
a
fees to
financial
you.
advisors charging like a management fee or anything like that. You invest in the fund and then we give you, the fund pays you interest. There's no link, Amanda, although I'll put how to get a hold of me here in a second. Okay, I have to run. Holly, I'll get back to that one. What's the minimum to start with? Violet, I'll message you that in a second. The minimum for Inicio, though, if that's what you're asking, is 25,000. The minimum for Private Money Club, I would say you'd want to have at least 10,000 to lend if you want to get in Private Money Club. Outside of that, for self-directing minimums, I mean, you could start a new IRA with a few $100 a month. So, if you're opening a new IRA, there's not really a minimum per se, right, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, we like to say that you start with at least $2,500, just because then you're able to do something with it. So I would say $2,500 to $5,000 is a good starting point. And once you have that, I'd say then you can do your first contribution to your Roth account. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see. My remaining, people are answering them as I'm asking them. Patricia, what is Money Club? All right. Just go to privatemoneyclub.com and you'll learn all about it. Or you can schedule a demo call, Patricia. I'll post.
Don't forget that discount code to get $500 off. Founders. I can't believe I screwed that up.
All right. Where'd that go? Here we go. Let me type it. All right. Dave Michael again, 25. Let's see. Iffy said, can you please answer Justin G's question on whether capital gains can be withdrawn now or only at retirement?
From the self-directed IRA, it would, if you took your capital gain, if you're talking about the self-directed IRA, if you took your capital gains out, you'd be taxed then. I mean, it wouldn't be capital gains. In a traditional self-directed IRA, all the money that goes in there is taxable because you get a pre-tax deduction on the money that goes into it. So you get the deduction up front, but you pay tax on all of it at the end. Now, the Roth, you put after tax dollars, so you already pay the taxes on them. That money grows tax deferred, and then when you take it out, it's tax-free. So the capital gains after 5 years technically could be taken out. You might be subject to a 10% early withdrawal fee, but you can in a Roth only. I just want to be clear about that. Greg, chime in if I got any of that wrong. It's been a little bit.
I think that sounded right. I mean, basically, traditional is pre-tax dollars. So you're paying taxes on the crop and not the seed. A Roth is you're paying taxes on the seed up front when it's small. And so therefore, when it comes out, the crop, you're not paying any taxes on with the Roth.
Yeah, non-assessed thoughts on infinite banking with a self-directed IRA. So they're two separate things. The infinite banking policies are going to be all your non-qualified money, and then the self-directed is going to be all your qualified money. So, if you're really looking to really take advantage of everything you have out there, you're going to want to tap into things like equity, like in your home, for example, and access as much money as you can, low interest stuff, things like that, and really get stuff going. And then let's be smart with what we have. So if we can save money on taxes, let's throw through an IRA. If the money we can't get into an IRA because we're maxed out or whatever the case is, let's take the rest of that and dump that into policies. And now we have that uninterrupted compounding guaranteed growth while simultaneously we can use that money to invest. So two completely separate things, but we can use them together to really get the most powerful financial system possible, which Greg, I know you do both. I mean, I know I do. I know Chris does. I believe probably most every investor I know does both. So what are the risks of, do not pay? We're not talking about private. We're going to kind of stick to the IRA right now. If you guys want to learn more about Private Money Club, just shoot me an email and I'll send you the webinars to all the trainings. We do trainings every single week on this stuff. So I'll send you guys a list of that. So what's the difference between, so Johnny asked, what's the difference between PMC, Inicio, and Horizon Trust? Horizon Trust is the custodian that houses the IRA. So if you have an IRA, it has to be with what's called a custodian or a broker. So like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, Horizon Trust Company. Those are all custodians or brokers that are legally allowed to, what's the word for it, Greg, for you to hold the IRA? custody
Well,
it?
we're just the custodian. We hold the assets.
You hold
Our
the
job is
assets.
to hold. Our jobs are to report the contributions and distributions, and so that's what we do at Horizon. Just like lots of other custodians, it is not our job to pick and choose the investments. And so, like Chris, for example, is part of the fund, and so that's a totally separate entity. Walls, door, people that are looking at deals separate than what we do at Horizon Trust Company. And so, there is some relation, obviously, with Private Money Club and then the Inicio partners, but Horizon's got a wall. We do not.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's in the name. So self-directed IRA, meaning you self-direct. So once you have this IRA at Horizon Trust and they're custodian and holding the assets for you, it's your job to now invest that money. So by having it at Horizon, it just opens up the possibilities. Again, at Charles Schwab, for example, they let you invest in the stock market, bonds, maybe some REITs or something like that, right? Where Horizon will let you invest in, allow you to invest in legally, allow you to invest in real estate or crypto or precious metals or private lending or businesses or IT, whatever the case might be. So it opens up all those options. So Private Money Club is just a platform, a community that provides options for people. Inicio is just a private fund that is an option for somebody to invest in. That's all. So completely separate things there.
And one thing, Stephen. So what I wanted to share real quick is for those of you that have an old IRA or old 401k, you absolutely should get the statement, schedule a call with Brandi. She's giving you the email. By the way, my email is greg@horizontrust.com. I respond to all my questions as well. So feel free. I know there's more, and I think I've got to run because I am freezing outside now. I know it's not Wisconsin cold. There's a lot of Green Bay Packer fans on this call. But I was going to jump off and let you guys wrap up some questions. But again, my email, greg@horizontrust.com. Brandi's on here. She's already responding. And then Chris and Stephen, you want to keep kicking it on the questions? Are we good on that?
Yeah, I think we're good, man. We're almost at the end here. We've crushed it. I mean, we're already going way over the hour, so this is awesome. We'll keep it rolling for a few more, but we're almost there. And these answers have been awesome. And then, of course, everybody has Brandi's email and phone number. Just schedule a call. I mean, that's what it's all about, is really get your personal situation. Because I know there's a lot of questions people have right now that, maybe, you don't want to ask with everybody watching or have us answer it out loud. So schedule those calls. You have my email, my calendar link. You have the demo calendar for Private Money Club. We're here for you. We're working this week, next week, every week. This is what we do all the time. So we're here for you guys. Greg, thank you very much, Mr. Herlean.
Thanks, man. Get warm.
Thank you, guys. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. So let's see. Where were we, Chris?
Leave off.
I mean, do you want to get into like the risks for lenders? I mean, that's kind of more of a Private Money Club discussion on one of our.
I can hit on it. I mean, the risk for a lender, and I'm a lender, so I can speak to that, is, not doing the proper due diligence. When I underwrite a deal, I underwrite the person that I'm lending to. I underwrite the borrower. Then I underwrite the deal, because the borrower, what I want to know is, what are their assets? What does their personal financial statement look like? Do they have adequate income? Do they have multiple income streams? Do they have adequate assets that if they missed payments to me, can I start going after their assets? When I get into a deal where I'm lending to a borrower, like I said earlier, if you're not first, you're last. I'm always in first position. So if there's no one ahead of me, there's no bank ahead of me, no one else, it's just me, then what I do is I ask for a personal guarantee. Remember those personal financial assets that I asked for? The personal guarantee, if they don't make payments and the property, doesn't support whatever I lent, which would never happen, but let's just play devil's advocate, I can go after personal assets through the personal guarantee. Now, some borrowers don't like that. They don't want to give me a personal guarantee. That's fine. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of other lenders on Private Money Club, but these are my rules that I set for my money, because I don't want to lose it, just like you don't want to lose it. So in this lending game, just like a bank, you control the risk that you take. You can get risky and go for the big returns, or you can be consistent and persistent and ultra conservative like I am. And I've never lost money lending money. Now, I'm not saying that's never going to happen. I'm just saying up to this point, in all the years I've lent money, I've never lost money. I've had some borrowers pay late, stop paying. And all I did is I had my attorney fire off a letter saying, hey, guess what? Do you remember you put me in first position? I got a mortgage on this property. You don't have to pay me, buddy. Don't pay me anymore. Matter of fact, why don't you and my attorney just keep talking, and then I'll just foreclose on the property? Because the way I look at it, that property is worth a lot more than the amount you owe me. So I'd rather have the property, and then I'll sell the property and make way more money. So that's how I control risk. But in a perfect world, you don't ever want to have to foreclose on someone. You just want your checks showing up in the mailbox every month, right? Or showing up in your self-directed IRA. Well, that's the game I play. So you just got to do a little bit of due diligence and just logically think it through. When you borrowed money from a bank, remember all the things they made you sign, do the same thing, be the bank.
Cool.
What else?
I got no more in the Q&A.
Oh, wow. Sweet. We knocked it out of the park. 89 questions. Put your hands together, folks. You guys knocked it out of the park with the questions. I'm proud of all of you. I know Brandi was like typing crazy there trying to keep up, but she did it. So everybody put your hands together for Brandi, put your hands together for Stephen and for Greg for just crushing it tonight. I mean, I know we went 22 minutes, past what we were, but we wanted to make sure we answered everything. So again, just as a recap, folks, in the chat, we're going to put one last time. We're going to give you how to sign up for Private Money Club and a $500 discount available today only. So that'll go up. We'll give you the contact to set up a call with Stephen for the Inicio Fund. And also Brandi put her number back up so that you can set up a call to discuss what you're going to do with your self-directed IRA or solo K that you want to set up. So with that being said, folks, I think we covered every aspect. This has been recorded. We will edit it and then get it out, and it'll be put up on the YouTube channel as well. So if you couldn't stay the whole time, you're probably not here, but good news is Santa is going to bring you the recording and put it right in your inbox. So with that being said, I think we've got it all covered. Anything else you want to add, Brandi or Stephen?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
What better gift than, financial freedom for yourself. And that's what we're all after. And that's what this is all about. Eliminate the wealth killers, eliminate taxes, be smart with your money, control it, stop paying all those fees to advisors, do stuff that's smart. And that's what it's all about. And that's why we're here. So appreciate everybody being here tonight. It's great to meet everybody. Look forward to talking with you. Just schedule a call, email me. I'm here for you. Chris is here for you. Our entire team. We have a bunch of money mentors. Brandi, like always, thank you for being here. It's great to see you. And that's all for me, Chris.
That's all for me. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. I put the link up for YouTube. So if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get all these videos, there it is. And with that being said, we're going to go home I'm going to go home and have a good night. Thank you.